Hi there, Julie Russo here, creator of Structures of Equality, where we're making sense of number stories. If you're new to structures, they're a reading comprehension tool that enhances students' understanding of word problems. Before we get started, make sure you remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I post weekly videos with actionable tips. Don't forget to ring the bell so you're notified when they're available. We can use a comparison structure when a math story describes a comparison relationship between two unique sets. Let's take a look at this math story. There are 5 blue cars and 3 white cars in the parking lot. How many more blue cars are there in the parking lot than white cars? So we use the comparison structure of equality to model this story, to represent the story. Let's take a look at it. So structures of equality all have 3 things. They have values, they have labels, and they represent equality. So let's see where the equality is first in this comparison structure of equality. I call this dotted line right here the line of equality. That line of equality tells me where the cars are equal to each other. So this top bar, the longer bar, represents the blue cars that are in the parking lot. That's why the bar is longer. This bottom bar represents the 3 white cars in the parking lot. That's why this bar is shorter. But we know that up until that point, where that line of equality is, the top bar and the bottom bar are equal. So that's where your equality is. This tells me something really special about 5, the number 5. This tells me that 5 can be decomposed into the part that's equal to the white cars and the part that is extra or more. If students can model a story like this and they can map it out and they can draw the structure of equality and they have the resources, they can solve any problem you give them. This story says, Julie has 3 more apples than Lucy. Lucy has 2 apples. How many does Julie have? When I teach stories like this to students, one of the first questions I ask is, who has more apples? Which is a challenging question for students. Julie has 3 more apples than Lucy. Lucy has 2 apples. So in this story, Julie has more apples. So I've started my structure of equality here already. I have 2 bars. I have a longer bar and a shorter bar. So because Julie has more apples than Lucy, the bar that is longer will represent Julie's apples. So I'm going to write Julie in here to help me remember that the longer bar represents Julie's apples. So if the longer bar represents Julie's apples, the shorter bar must be Lucy's apples, which is challenging for students. Talking to them about if Julie has more, then Lucy must have less. That's a challenging concept for kiddos. So let's look and see where we are. Structures of equality all have 3 things. They have values, labels, and they represent equality. So I have my labels, apples and apples, on here. I don't have my units or values yet. I don't have my equality at this point. So Julie has 3 more apples than Lucy. Lucy has 2 apples. So I can put my 2 out here to represent Lucy's apples. When I draw comparison structures, I put the values on the outside of the bars, and I'm going to show you why in a minute. So Lucy has 3 more apples. Julie has 3 more apples than Lucy. So I ask the students, where does that 3 go? Sometimes they tell me it goes in this long bar. Sort of does, but it goes in a special place in this longer bar. So I'm going to draw my line of equality. Remember, up until that point, Lucy's apples are equivalent to Julie's apples, or Julie's apples, are equivalent to Lucy's apples. This story says Julie has 3 more apples. Where does the more go? The more actually goes over here. That's where the more is. That's where Julie has more apples than Lucy. So let's see if the model that we've drawn matches our story. Julie has 3 more apples than Lucy. Lucy has, I can put 2 apples in here too if I want to, 2 apples. How many does Julie have? Wow. So I see something really powerful when I draw this model. I know up until this point right here, Julie's apples and Lucy's apples are equivalent. They have the same value. So if this, up until this point, Lucy has 2 apples, up until this point, Julie has 2 apples. So now all of a sudden I've modeled what's happening in the story, and if I can add 2 plus 3, I can understand that Julie has 5 apples. So that 5 was decomposed into the more and the part that was equivalent to Lucy's apples. If you'd like to explore this idea more, you'll find links to this resource in the description below. I'm always open to new ideas, so if there's another resource you'd find helpful, leave me a comment and let me know.